Hello and welcome back to Hot and Mild Reviews. I am Ireland and this is
Carlos, what's up, y'all?
What Up? All right. Back with another review for you guys this week, and we are reviewing the one and only Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. Now,
Yeah.
I think it's funny that for the last couple of years, everyone has always been about ACOTAR, right? A Court of Thorns and Roses, and this was like a big thing. I even see people dressed as the characters from then,
Right.
Tamlin the Tool, like all this from. I've seen it the Labyrinth Ball and stuff in LA. I've seen people dressed from a
Yeah.
Court of Thorns and Roses, from like the Night Court, all kinds of stuff. And I always used to say, man, everyone was so gung ho about it, and it's a great series. Don't get me wrong. But The Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas came before and is literally my favorite series ever from her so far. And it's funny now because when I mentioned I was going to have you read this, right, which I'm holding the OG character, the cover, so everyone's probably like freaking out about this. I've seen it everywhere now. Within the last week, 2 weeks.
So it's starting to circle back
It's
again?
circling back.
Ah,
So
okay.
it used to be like the Beauty and the Beast storytelling, the lovers, the enemies to lovers trope with like some type of, animal.
Fantasy
Right. And then I was like,
animal,
but you're sleeping on the fierce assassin
Mhm.
women. You can have the morally gray man, but we need a fierce protagonist. And I was like, everyone's sleeping on this. And then literally the last week, 2 weeks is circled back. Everyone's like, well, if you left Throne of Glass, I'm like, nobody's talked about this for like 5 years. Like, why are people mentioning it now? And I'm just like, yeah. Now since the market's oversaturated with all the Beauty and the
Everything,
Beast
yeah.
retellings
We don't
and
want to do
stuff,
that.
and the Snow Whites. Now
We
you
want
guys
something more hardcore,
Now you
y'all.
guys want the fierce assassin.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Leads.
what did we read last time? It was On Wings of Blood by
Right,
Briar Bolin.
right.
And
Another fierce female protagonist.
girl was fierce, right?
She
And
was
she was a
fierce.
wraith. So she was kind of like an assassin-y sort of character. And that's
Right.
when you were like, hey, if you like assassins, you should read this book.
Well, I mean, because, you got to think from, you always talked about it, from the worlds that we come from, the video game world, the RPGs, JRPGs, and MOBA, like those sort of thing, from like World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
You've got, Sylvanas. You got like
Yeah.
all these elven
You got all the baddie
warriors, like,
characters.
right? And then, from playing the RPGs and always dealing with some type of assassin lead and assassin sneak accounts. You got Assassin's Creed. I'm obsessed with like different things like that. I'm like, I knew you were gonna like this one.
Yeah,
So,
Selena
so-
is a baddie.
so let's talk about this.
Yeah.
How did you enjoy reading about Selena the Sardathian?
I
Just to
loved it.
let you guys know, my World of Warcraft, all my characters are either from the Forgotten Realms section of Dritz Duerden from R.A.
Mhm.
Salvatore, which I love, Bob, don't get me wrong, or they are based off the Throne of Glass characters, and Selena Sardathian was literally my hunter on there. So, but you like this.
I did really like I liked the book. I like the fact that she suffers.
Okay.
She suffers.
Again,
I'm not gonna spoil some stuff, dude.
We're gonna do.
We'll do spoilers after, but
Right,
I mean,
right.
she, it was one of those things where you understand just how much she suffered and how badass she was.
I told you.
It was one of those things where I was just like, oh, and the way she talks about herself, the level of confidence that she has going in anywhere, you're just like, I don't know if you're crazy or you're that badass. Like, it's one of those two, or maybe it's both. You're a little crazy and badass. But
So
yeah.
kind of her aura that she carries everywhere with her.
Mhm.
Does it remind you of a movie of who one of your favorite actresses are?
I have so many favorite actors,
Well,
but
I'm talking about like
yes. Underworld is
Yes.
the thing, right? So Kate Beckinsale as Celine definitely has that air of confidence, that vibe.
right, and that's kind of what I envisioned
Mhm.
with Selena Sardathian, was literally just long white-haired Kate Beckinsale.
Yeah. And I love the setup. I love the world. The world doesn't have magic. Supposedly, it's not.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, it's not there, or it's been eliminated by the evil king, who kind of is consolidating his rule across all of the different lands, and she gets thrown back in to something that she had escaped from originally, and is now fully in.
Submerged.
Yeah, fully in. And so it
With
was
a
cool.
vengeance.
Yeah, no, she
With
comes in with a vengeance.
vengeance.
And there's some also really cool
I mean, look at this
characters.
cover. This is fierce.
Yeah, she's fierce.
It's literally as fierce.
Yeah, and she enters a tournament,
Right.
right?
Right.
Which is very very cool. Again, she thinks she's the badass that's going to just take everybody in this entire tournament. She doesn't really care who is in front of her. And then she meets some really good characters, which are great, right? The captain
Right.
of the guard, Kale, is another
Kale was fantastic. Yeah.
amazing character, and then the prince, of course, Dorian,
Dorian.
who's witty, charming, a womanizer.
Mm.
He gets his way all the time,
Oh,
but he
that's what
doesn't. He
thinks.
doesn't really like. She doesn't. She's annoyed by him, very much so.
Very much so.
Very much so,
Very
because
much so.
he's
You get a
full
pompous
of himself.
nepo,
He's
you
a
know?
pompous nepo baby.
Kind of, essentially. And she's just like, just please, like, please. Kind of like, who do you think you are?
Yeah.
Like this chick, like when you get to her, like her self-care regimen in here is
Oh, Jesus.
fantastic. Let's just say she works hard, but she relaxes harder. Like her salts for her bath are shipped in. Like, you know, when it's so hard to import anything, and she literally is just like bougie upon bougie. She puts the B and the bougie.
Yeah, I do like that she likes to read, which is a really
She's a
nice touch in
reader.
the character.
Right.
It shows her depth.
Right.
Right,
There's a
that
lot
she's
of
not
depth to
just
her.
the assassin, right? That's murdering everybody. She actually
She's
does some
smart.
things, right? She's very smart.
She's very smart. She's very collected.
She's cultured.
Very
She-
cultured.
Mhm.
She's charismatic a little bit when she needs to be. Like, you don't see it really in the first book of like
Yeah.
her potential of
And the other part
charisma,
is that
but
she's
she's got it.
goofy.
a little bit.
She, when she lets her
She's
guard down,
witty.
she's
She's
pretty
witty.
goofy, right? And I like that,
Mm-hmm.
but still can switch it off and then just murder you, which is
I love the world building. A lot of depth to it. A lot of characterization, like building of the different characters, side characters,
Mhm.
protagonists. Like,
I mean, I read that
obsessed.
book pretty quick. It didn't
Yeah,
take me
you
long because
did.
I couldn't really stop
Yeah.
reading because I wanted to see what was next. It was the pacing in the book was really good.
There's quite a few in
The
this
things that you
series,
uncover
too.
as you
Right.
read through the story and how it starts to open up more. So it's not originally what you thought it was going to be is
You think
fantastic.
that you're going on one quest, and then you literally get through
Oh yeah.
a couple of these singular quests, and then you find out it's a whole open world.
Yeah. You start seeing like
And
the
you're
big
like-
story arc and you're like, wow, that's okay. Okay.
This
This
is
is
huge.
cool.
Yeah, there's quite a few books in this
Yeah.
series. But
So
it's
if you
such an
haven't
enjoyable read.
read it, read this book. It's
I know.
it's a
I'm-
good book.
Everyone fights and hunts for these covers, and I absolutely just utterly love the fact. So I actually, fun filled fact, I've always been a physical book person. I
Mhm.
always liked, growing up super poor, going to the library was a treat. Being able to just
Check
walk
out
in there.
books.
Oh gosh,
Yeah.
like I
You didn't have to
absolutely.
pay for them.
Actually, I pretty much read them before. I checked them out. I would read them on the bus because I had a very long bus ride. It was like an hour bus ride. And I would read them. And then by the time I get home, I wouldn't have any books to read. So, but it's nice holding the physical book. And I remember I was like, for once, I'm just going to try a digital on the iPad, like use a Kindle app or
Kindle,
something. I'm just
yeah.
going to try it once. I literally got the Assassin's Blade version, which is the prequel to this, which you'll read. It'll give you some depth to about Miss Sardathian. But I was like, oh my gosh. My girlfriend Heather and I, she's a writer for Aspen Comics. And she was like, I was like, we were, doing our own little book group thing. And I was like, you have to read this. And she's like, but I like it. I'm like, you need to read this. So literally we got physical copies and we went to every book signing that Sarah J. Maas was for every book release. So I have all the first editions.
Did she recognize you guys after you did
It got to the point where she'd be like,
Y'all here?
"Hi Ireland, hello Heather," and like it got so bad, like her husband even knew. Oh, great to see you guys again. And even in the book, even in the personalization, Sarah even wrote, "It's so good to see you here again." Like again, like it got to the point where she was like, "Okay, you're here everywhere." Like
Yeah. You
I
guys again. Oh, hey,
and then in the books, I would literally have the plane ticket.
oh, right.
From where I had like the seat, and it would be like in the book, and I'm like, oh yeah, I went here on this one.
To remember.
So Heather and I, we flew everywhere for these book signings. We just yeah, and this is when she was just putting out the Throne of Glass, and then when the Court of, Thorns and Roses came out, and the Court of Wings and Fury came out, I mean, we were everywhere.
That's
So we
amazing.
had a pals, in Portland, like we were just everywhere for it. So yeah, this whole character set just is like Dritz. Literally, it's a female Dritz. It just
Yeah,
takes,
I can see that. I
just
can
kind
see
of,
that a lot.
and it's kind of like shaded with purple and gray. Okay, I have a theme. I have a theme. I have a type.
This is
So
your type.
this is my type. So okay. So on a scale of 1 to 5, how many stars would you rate this so far?
Oh my God.
Be honest. Be
So far
honest.
about, I would say about 4.5 stars. Like
Four
it's
and
a
a half
good
stars.
book.
It's a good
It's a
book.
good book. It's solid. That's a solid book. Character development, story building, like world building.
It's kind of interesting though, because we always say how morally gray is your shadow daddy, but Selena is kind of the shadow daddy in here. Like she's a little bit morally gray on here, a little bit.
I mean, you're right. She is kind of the she is the shadow.
So she would be like shadow mommy, shadow daddy.
No. I don't think she'd be wanting to be called Shadow Mommy. She
No,
would be the Shadow
wouldn't. She would be
Daddy.
shadow daddy for sure.
But in
Like
terms
she's
of,
packing.
oh yeah. In terms of like the Prince Dorian, right?
Yeah,
He's a cool dude.
he's a cool dude.
Seems like he can hold his own.
Right, but
But he's not like
shadow
he's not like
daddy.
Shadow Daddy.
He's not like fighting the good and the
No,
evil, and
he's-
he's definitely not morally black, which is completely on
No.
the end
He's
of the
morally
show.
gray too.
To a
He is
degree.
morally gray.
But I
But
think she a little bit, she trumps it a little bit.
she's Shadow Daddy.
Yeah, she's shadow daddy. So how many?
She makes him call her daddy.
Right.
That's kind of how it's gonna work.
That's kind of how it works. So how morally gray?
Okay,
You
so 4.5 stars overall.
Uh-huh.
Shadow Daddy, I would say probably like a 2 Shadow Daddy, because I mean Shadow Daddies are usually the
The muscular
yeah,
men,
yeah,
tattoos.
yeah, yeah. But she is a Shadow Daddy, so like 2, I think, on the Shadow Daddy scale.
I give it about almost 3.
Oh, you want to go 3?
Well, I mean, when you get further in the books, you're gonna be like,
Okay. Well, then I'm not there yet. But
You're
so
not
far,
there yet.
for this one
You're
on the
not
Shadow
there
Daddy,
yet.
morally gray. I mean,
she is
that's
morally gray as
they're
well.
way morally gray.
Right.
That's like 4 on the morally gray.
Yeah.
Yeah. So overall, I think that she is. I can't wait to see more from her.
I'm so excited.
I can't wait to see
love
more
this.
from her,
I
'cause-
love this series. Fun filled fact also too is like for anyone who ever went to like Sarah's like first when she was doing the book tours, she started this story way back in like junior high school on her laptop. She said when she like came out looking for doing publishers and stuff like right out of like high school, she was still actively looking for publishers and stuff. She had about 4 or 5
Books already done?
on the
Wow.
laptop.
Wow.
That's why they were just like dropping.
That's
so
probably why they dropped quick.
fast.
Yeah, that
And I
makes
was
sense.
Like that's insane.
That makes sense.
That's insane. She's only in her 30s and she has so many books out. I'm like,
Yeah. So
They're so
4.5
good.
stars,
uh-huh.
2 Shadow Daddy, 4 morally gray out of 5. Because
All right.
yeah, she is more like everybody there is pretty much morally gray. I think,
But I mean, it is
except
kind
for
of,
Kale. Kale's not.
No, he's the light. He's very lighthearted, and he's like
Duty calls, right?
He's a golden retriever.
There you go. Yes.
He is the dutiful golden retriever.
Golden retriever.
Kind of, yeah. He really is. When all else fails, there's always Kale. You know what I mean?
I know. He's like the steady boyfriend.
Right.
You know.
He's like the solid anchor, but yeah.
There you go. I like it.
Yeah. All right.
All
So
right.
that's our spoiler for your review on this one.
Okay, now for the spoilers.
Now for the spoilers.
All right. So I love how it started where she's in the salt mines. So she got banished to the salt mines and she's had a really rough
When
time.
she was younger.
Yeah,
because
she's a really
there's-
rough time.
So she kind of, where it takes place is we find out essentially she is just kind of no family. And
They're dead.
she's an orphan.
She's an orphan.
And, they kind of tossed her in the salt mine. So it started off kind of a Cinderella retelling. If you want to,
Yeah,
it's kind
yeah,
of started off
you could say
something
that.
like with the orphanage and
Yeah.
and that sort of thing. So that's kind of where this is loosely kind of based on, is where it's like almost like it started like you wanted to be something like that,
Yeah.
but it turned into more of a fierce, overcome vengeance.
Right.
Right,
Because
but
it's super interesting because the prince is searching for, like, if you want to go down that sort of
Mhm.
Cinderella thing, he's looking for his champion, the person who's going to he's going to sponsor in this tournament that his dad has put together.
But he didn't know that he was going to find her.
No, he knew he was looking for what was it? She has a specific name, something assassin, Arlene
Right.
assassin.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then he goes and finds her. And he's like, "You're the assassin," because I mean, at
Because
this
he's
point,
looking for this person.
yeah,
And he's just like, okay, I want this person to be my champion. I
mhm,
will swoo them and pay them whatever they need, but I'm going to win this tournament and I want this assassin. And then when he discovers that it's Selena, he's like, excuse moi,
he's like, "Excuse me, what?"
pardon?
And she's at this point emaciated because she's working in the salt mines. She doesn't eat very well, but
Mm,
apparently she's meant to, they don't want to kill her in the mines. They would keep her alive barely. So she's suffered
barely.
a lot. She's gotten, she has lashes on her back and she's just miserable. So then, the
Well, she's
prince,
a slave in the salt
yeah,
mine.
she's pretty
So,
much a slave in the salt mines.
yeah.
So, working in the salt mines all day will do that to you. So prince comes in, he's like, "Hey, I got an offer for you. Come back over to
Hmm.
my castle and compete in this tournament to be the king's assassin, basically." And she's like, "Okay, anything's better than salt mines." But what's really interesting is that for an assassin, she's 18
So
right
I
now.
know this is the part that it kind of was bewildering for you a little bit,
Yeah,
was the fact of how can you be 18 and be a master
right.
at kind of what it is. So you were like maybe 20, maybe 22. And I think the Assassin's Blade, when you read that, will fill in a lot for
Yeah,
you. Now, I mean, if you just had one task to do when you woke up to the time you like went to bed, you would be phenomenal at it.
right.
And if you were taught by every master in that specialty, then I could see where that was just your one purpose in life. But 18?
Yeah, because it was super interesting. She talks about how she was taken when she was young, like 8, okay, by the master assassin, the guy that ran the guild.
Hmm.
And so now then she's trained, right? So she has training, and then at some point she becomes
Contracted.
contracted to
Well,
be
mercenary, essentially.
an assassin and a really
Hmm.
good one.
Yep.
But that would make her like 15
Yeah.
or 16, right? And then she gets thrown into the salt mines around that time.
So
So what I wonder is how does she develop that reputation in such a short amount of time, so young?
I think it's because of I think the spin on this was given her age and the assignments that were given to her of the tasks that she had to eliminate, right? She, because of the age at the time period of which this is set, she was able to get into there. Where most people, they were older, like an older woman, they would be like, why aren't you married? Where are your kids? They would be a little more sus with her. Or if it was a male for that perspective, they'd be like, who's this person? They're always going to be like the hoop, but if they see this child, essentially,
Hmm.
they're going to be like, oh, this is just a young girl, no big deal, whatever. She's probably kitchen help. Like, doesn't they don't think twice because you don't look for a killer in a child or a teen. You don't, it doesn't
Right.
register in this time period. So I think she was able to, and you will kind of see as it gets through a little bit more of the stories, that she's able to slip through a lot of things given the fact of the way that she
Right.
looks, the young, the age. And at the time when this came out originally, this was in the young adult. So
Right.
this was at the age range from like 11,
Mm,
12 to 18. So this was like in the young adult, you
right.
know, fantasy, which at the time of Barnes and Noble was a very few bookshelves. I want to say probably like maybe four on a flagship Barnes and Noble. Like there was not a whole lot of shelving for young adult fantasy. You had obviously Brandon Sanderson stuff. You had Rick Riordan with your Percy Jackson. You're going up with books like this, and you have your few vampire
Right.
diaries
Right.
and vampire academies, and this was kind of tossed in there with it. So people that are like, but if you read the end of the books, how is it still in the young adult? We'll get to that, okay? There is spice with that. There's no spice in this one.
No.
This is just straight fantasy
Yeah, just
based,
a
but
really good fantasy book.
that's where it
Hmm.
starts.
Hmm.
We have quite a few books to go through, okay? So, but this was in the young adult. So they were trying to just appeal, and she was at that age when she was
Yeah,
writing
I guess.
this.
I
So
guess,
it's like,
and I
you
think
know,
that's what makes it a little hard. And it's very common. It seems like it's very common in the romantasy genre where
Now
a
it
lot of
is.
these characters are that
Now
young.
it is. You have to look at like when this was actually published. So, I mean, this is in 2012, and we don't see that it's. You and I, it seems like it was yesterday. That was like 14 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So there was no such thing as romantasy. Well,
Yeah,
there
right.
was, but it was a very
It was a different kind. It was a
small
different kind of
section.
romantasy.
No,
Harlequin romance novels or
we
whatever.
hadn't. Nobody had ever really heard of Karen. Mourning, like you know what I mean. Like they didn't really get to. We'll talk about that, but they were just kind of like the dark fantasy, schmutty little section
Mm.
on anything. Like you're lucky you had to get a mail in subscription for that, but yeah, there wasn't anything in between.
Yeah. Okay.
So
So she
yeah.
gets now we reconcile the fact that she's 18 years
Right,
old
and she's a master assassin.
she's a master
mercenary.
assassin and everybody's afraid of her because she's got this reputation. The prince, they go back to the kingdom, and but you could tell that there's still some kind of she's still a child because when she comes up against the king, every time she sees him, she freaks out because she senses something in him, a power, just something, and he's just not the nicest person in the world.
She doesn't have very good social skills.
No. There's which was interesting for
Right.
a master assassin because you
Right.
figure
That's why I said she scored low on the charismatic scale. Because also too, you have to understand that like when she was training and stuff, a lot of it would be solo.
right.
Or in the salt mines, you weren't allowed to talk either,
Yeah.
which she hints back at that when you go to different things.
She wasn't allowed to say anything.
Yeah, it wasn't allowed really to talk much. Like, don't spoke unless spoken to. So for her to, I think I would be very suspicious if she was 18, a master assassin, and had a charisma of 20.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be like, we missed a decade somewhere. But these are things where you learn and you pick up as you become adults,
Right.
as you're thrown into these real world situations. And I think we kind of see that. You'll see more of that as it goes through in the book of how she talks and handles and deals with people and power and people who abuse power. And you kind of see this growth in her as a character, which
That's
is
cool.
just so
That's cool to see.
articulately done well.
Right.
It's done well.
Right. Because I mean, I was trying to draw comparisons, right, of somebody like who's in that sort of deal, right? Like John Wick, for example, the John Wick character. John Wick is a master assassin. John Wick is also way older, because he's developed those skill sets over time. Now, you look at the ballerina, which is the next generation and coming up. She's still in her 20s, in her early 20s when she's coming up, but she can't beat him because he is a master assassin.
Right.
So
I think there's levels to it.
I think so.
Look at martial arts and karate.
Right.
Like I know kids who are black belts in taekwondo at like 16, but they're not a 6th or 8th dan.
Right.
So those are the levels of black belt you can get. So I think for this time period, she's got like a black belt.
Yeah, I would think so. I would think so. She's still really good.
I think like John Wick would be like Grandmaster.
Yeah, she's still really good. And also there has to be some magic in her. There has to be something in her that makes her unique and different so that she does. You can see,
People
I understand.
that have read this are going,
I understand why she is a master
quit
assassin
jumping.
now. I've never read. I'm just making assumptions here. There has to be something else. And so that's also very intriguing because I'm like, she's that young. She's already developed this reputation. She goes through and deals with all of this bullshit that she's dealing with to become the king's assassin. She takes out a bunch of different people in all these trials because, she's incredible. She hits the bullseyes. She makes the poisons. She survives the poisons. Like she gets poisoned at the very end in the last piece of combat against, probably one of the biggest dudes that's full of magic, and manages to survive all of that because now she's got this fae goddess that is helping her, and I'm like, wait a minute, there is way more than just her being, there's more to her. There's more depth to her. And I just kind of want to understand what that actually is. But the cool part about that is as you start going through and they develop this friendship, Dorian, Kale, and her kind of like have this friendship, and both of them start loving her, start really liking her because how could you not, right? She's goofy.
I
She
mean, I'd
reads
be right
books.
there with him.
Yeah, she reads books. She's a badass. And Kale trains her. and he trains her and she gets better. And so he develops this closeness with her, which is kind of like the rivalry between the two boys for the hand of the girl, which is, interesting in how that could potentially work out.
You have yet to be seen. So what you're basically trying to say is she didn't start at ground zero like she thinks she started at. She already had items of things in her pockets that she didn't even know, and they're
Yeah,
already locked in and equipped,
yeah,
and she doesn't know it.
yeah. Which is why she doesn't know it, but she still has that level of confidence
Well,
that she's like, I can take anybody. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I got this. And so then you start discovering that there is actual magic around, and these words,
mm-hmm.
and
But it's illegal.
but it's illegal, but it's there, and there is a princess that she befriends that is part of this country that her dad has sent her to that court to learn from them, or learn the ways, or learn the language, which is basically just she's spying to try to figure out
Essentially.
what's actually happening. And
Right.
you come to find out that she can actually use word runes
Mm-hmm.
in order to be able to do magic. And
And
so
nobody, just plain Jane, who started ground zero, could do that just dumbfoundedly. So
yes, which is, yeah. And she sees that the goddess is helping Selena. And so you're just like, okay,
what's going on?
what's going on here?
What
What's
controller
happening?
is this?
What kind of wild thing is this? But then you find out that the king also can use that magic and has been.
Mm-hmm.
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 And the Duke also. And so there's like this whole level of intrigue and evil afoot that's going on, because you know that there's somebody else that's pulling the strings outside of just the king. Because I'm like, oh, there's somebody bigger. There's some baddie out there that's doing. Yeah, there's always somebody bigger that is pulling the strings to make all of these puppets go.
It's amazing. I always, like, in my head when I was like reading this, I was like, oh, this kind of like Celine from Underworld meets Dante from Devil May Cry.
Oh yeah.
That's literally like in my head. That's what I envisioned, and I was just like so captivated by this, and loved. Obviously, I'm naming my characters on World of Warcraft after this, but as you get further in the books, there's particular types of clothing that she would wear that was just so staple and just so prominent, and I was like, I want to make that. And that's actually kind of what started me making stuff for myself again.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool.
So there's like a dragon dress. There's like a bunch of things where it's like, all this stuff to it. And I was like, I am so going to make that one of these days. I have not yet, but I've seen people come somewhat close to it, but I'm like, mm-mm.
I do like all of the supporting characters. I like her servant. She's really cool and knows how to dress her.
Right.
She's
her bougie self.
Her bougie self, and she's really pretty. Doesn't really give herself a lot of credit for how pretty she is. But everybody else sees it and they're like, damn, damn,
Right.
you hot.
So you liked it.
I did. I liked it a lot.
I'm so excited. I love this book, you guys. And it always hurt my heart a little bit when people would compare the Court of Thorns and Roses versus this one instead. And they're like, oh no, you want Court of Roses, Thorns and Roses, and which is a great series. But I'm like, you're missing the key parts of this. Yeah. You're missing this series. This series has so much depth to it.
Oh, and it keeps opening up as the book goes.
It's like a blooming onion. It just keeps going.
It just keeps going.
And I'm literally so obsessed with this.
Yeah. So to sum it up, 4.5 stars on the rating.
I could go on and on about this.
2 for the Shadow Daddy, but we all know that she's the Shadow Daddy, so that will change over time, I'm pretty sure.
Morally Gray?
Morally Gray, 4 out of 5. Definitely, for sure. And on the spicy, there's no spice in this one.
No.
There's zero spice. But so I didn't care. It was awesome.
So far, this is like book 1 out of 8.
Oh, Jesus. There's 8 of them?
well, you get down to the end, and you're going to be like... How was this ever put in the young adult section? It's what you're going to be like. You're like, no, but how'd this get put here? Because I remember going through going, as we got towards the end of the series, I'm like, you should not be putting that there for 11-year-olds.
Yep.
You should not be doing that.
And it's a really good read. I read through that 2 days.
Oh, it's so good.
It's good. Solid.
So speaking of that, we have to do the next recommendation.
Oh yes.
And
What are you gonna go next?
We were still sticking. I wanted to go down more of the fantasy route,
Okay.
right? Okay. So we've got our assassins and stuff, and you've had your dragons and your vampires and
Yes, you're taking me on these
your
very
fae.
different
I love
worlds.
this. We're gonna go down some older ones here. I would say relatively soon. I wanted to, since we're on the older. Well, I say older. It's like 2012. It's not that old.
It's not a classic yet, though.
We haven't broke out my books from the 1960s, so we started the
yeah.
classic.
Yeah, we'll go there.
Princess of Avalon, the Mists of Avalon. Like we could just keep going. But I want to kind of stay a little bit in the fantasy, but I want to take you over to the Viking side of things.
Oh, some Vikings, Norse action. Let's go.
We're gonna
Let's
do
go.
some of that, but we're gonna mix it up.
Okay.
So, people do Vikings. Vikings, well, I love God of War. So I love, good Norse mythology. However, a trope that I found very interesting, and I think that you will also love it as well, is Fey Vikings. Now,
I
when I
don't
was
think I've heard of Fey Vikings before.
right? So
Interesting.
I know you want a little romantasy, so I'm like toss you just a little bit more than that. Okay, we're not gonna go full in the smut realm because I feel like we're gonna just do this in cycles, right? I want to give the fantasy. We're gonna
So
do
you're
this.
going to ease me in like a gentleman.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? You can't just stick it in right off the bat. Come on. So I accidentally fell into this one. I don't know. I must have been sleeping underneath a rock when this series came out. But this is actually by L.J. Andrews. It's The Curse of Shadows and Thorns. Now, this is a super cool limited edition.
That looks really pretty.
Oh, I'm going to show you this more about this version in this company and a different one. But you're going to have Vikings and Fey Vikings. All right. It's such an interesting concept.
Vikings, Fey
But you're going to get some of your Norse mythology in here. You're going to get,
I just picture these Vikings with axes and fairy wings. Fey Vikings.
the flight of Odin. Pegasus that comes. So anyway, that's great. But anyway, so yeah, this is super good. So the fight, there's a magic system to this. You're gonna love this. Obviously, I wouldn't say it's so much there. It's not really enemies to lovers type of trope at all. But it's gonna kind of have the start of a little bit of Throne of Glass mixed to it. So you're gonna see a lot of overtones. You're gonna see a bigger world when you get through this. You're gonna see a lot of character development. There's 9 of these in the series. So this is the Broken Kingdoms.
Is there a Shadow Daddy?
There's one, yeah.
Okay.
There's one in this one. So this
I like how you said you're like,
there's one.
there's a Shadow Daddy.
There's a few. Okay, so there is
He'd be Shadow, y'all.
it's the Broken Kingdom series. There's 9 books. There's 4 kingdoms in this world and 3 books for each kingdom.
Wow, that's some story development right there and world
Right,
building.
the conclusions, like all kinds of things. So
Okay.
each kingdom has different magic, has different things, all with some type of Viking lore, Fey lore, all kinds of stuff. So you're gonna have fun with this one. There's a lot of depth to it. I love it. The fact that obviously there's going to be ravens involved, so there is going to be some darkness to it.
Wow, that looks really
It
cool.
is such a nice book.
Dang,
But we'll show you more of depth in that. Obviously, you've got
I love the smell of books.
right. That is actually a thing.
Is it?
Mm-hmm. Bookophilia,
Bookophilia.
wait a minute, biblicophilia, something like that. We're obsession.
This book is cool. It's very cool. It looks like it's very well made. I really like it. Okay.
We'll break it down.
So I will read this and we're going to review it in the next podcast.
You're gonna want. We're not gonna go down all 9, or we would have written down all of the.
I mean, I'd be
the
like
Throne of Glass.
1 through 9.
We're not gonna see you for a few weeks. But then obviously we're gonna cycle through. I mean, I can't hit you straight with the Forgotten Realms. We gotta lead up to that.
No.
There are quite a few other authors in the fantasy sci-fi realm that I would take you to. That's not so romantasy. I love a very in-depth, articulate battle system
Oh
or
yeah, for sure.
battle scenes, or people who can write fight scenes very well with different types of, Nordic weapons and things.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of authors who we're going to go down.
Cool. I'm
So
excited.
we're going to talk. Oh my gosh, we could go forever. We could talk about how authors used to write the older dragons. We can talk
Oh
about Naomi
yeah.
Novik,
Oh
Stephen
dude.
Diaz, and then
Yeah.
go into like the modern day where you talk about like the fights and war scenes of Joe Abercrombie. Like there's
Yeah.
just
Well,
so
we can go
much.
back. We can go back
I
for
fell
sure.
to all the Forgotten Realms. We could
Yeah.
be here
Forgotten
all
Realm
day.
stuff. And McCaffrey, all the Dragon
How big
Riders
of
of
a
Pern.
nerd to the I wish you guys could see my whole library. It's
Oh yeah,
insane.
she's got one big
I'm such a
library.
sci-fi fantasy nerd.
If you could have an entire house devoted to books, you would.
I'm already working on it. What they say,
Books and
personal
plushies.
personal
Oh my.
library is 1,000 books.
Yeah. 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 Easy. Easy. And on that note, y'all, thank you so much for tuning in. The
All
next
right.
one we'll do is this one. I hope you guys
By
liked our review on
LJ
Throne of
Andrews.
Glass.
And hope you guys like that. And again, if you want a fierce protagonist who is also her own morally gray,
And her own shadow daddy.
guys, make sure you pick up Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. The cover's gonna be a lot different than what you see here because I'm just old school like
You're
that. I
so
have the
cool.
originals, but you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. Thanks
Ha-
for tuning in, you guys.
Happy reading, y'all.
Happy reading. I have literally